Yeah, hi, I'm Colonel Greg Johnson, the director here at the Officer Personnel Management Directorate at HRC. So OP, as we like to call it, or Team OP, we're really focused in on talent management of the officer corps. I'm a career AG officer. I served previously in a bunch of different G1 positions in the Pentagon and the G1, and then also leading the effort on the functional side for IPSA and fielding of IPSA to the Army. The team here is really great. A lot of dedicated professionals from every branch in the Army, as well as dedicated civilian professionals here supporting the officer corps. And the missions really is just that, support the officer corps. And we like to say the core task of OPMD or Team OP is really readiness of that officer corps. So ensuring that those officers get to positions and units that build readiness for the Army. But there's other core tasks as well. So I like to call it the strategic skills building task. We really are helping officers facilitate through their careers different jobs and experiences that build KSBs, knowledge, skills, and behaviors that are really needed at the strategic level. And that comes through experience in jobs, different types of jobs, say joint assignments or assignments at the enterprise. And then when combined with a tactical experience, really starts to build the knowledge and skills that you want at the strategic level. And also key to that is education. So what officers get sent off to education degrees for other experiences tied to those helps build those KSBs and build strategic depth for our Army. So really two sides of the coin, in my opinion, on readiness. One's a more immediate tied to unit readiness, and then the other is tied to building those skills to have senior leaders at the lieutenant colonel, colonel, and GO level run the Army for us. Well, one, it's to highlight some of the awesome work being done here. I mean, there's really dedicated folks focused every single day to do those things for the Army. Build readiness at all levels. So that's one. But two, it's also to help educate the force on what is happening in OP, but also how some of the processes that we execute to build readiness operate with units, and how those units and commanders can really impact and shape how those processes run for them to build readiness at their level. So I think that's key too. So education on that process and how to interact with this fabulous team here. But we're also at a bit of a crossroads with a lot of initiatives on the talent management side. And we're really doing a top to bottom review of OP processes. So everything that we do here, we're taking a look at. Every single business process and program that we run, we're taking a look at, reviewing it, and then shaping it for the future Army. So a lot of work there internal that we're doing, and it's really starting to, I think it's important to start to share that with the field to explain, hey, where do we think we're headed, and how those touch points with the field help get us to that future. Yeah, I think the immediate goal is really to continue with readiness. So how do you shape the marketplace? Like in the officer world, we distribute and assign officers via what we call the ATAP, or a marketplace for short. How do we ensure that folks understand how that's working and execute that to the best of our abilities? That's really the focal point that we've had. So, a couple of things we've started to do is focus in on education of, say, S1s. So we've gone to the AG schoolhouse to really work the curricula there to teach S1s that this is how this process works. This is how you help your boss in your brigades or battalions as you shape requirements and shape how the market interaction works, and then how you get folks and maintain that readiness in your units. But then on the flip side, also putting together tools and content for commanders. So that's a big push on us to do the exact same thing. Explain where commanders can influence that process and help build that readiness level for themselves. And then there's a whole other aspect of what we're doing with that strategic skills building We help execute the ACS and education programs for the Army, the training with industry program. How do we take those types of experiences and programs that we run, or broadening programs that we run, and really educate the force on this is what's available that would help build your skill sets, build your KSBs for future use in our units and at the strategic level. Another key focal point there. And of course, we have IPSA coming soon. And so it's really the top-down, bottom review of OP processes in preparation for IPSA go live at the end of this year is really a focal point that we have. You combine all that together, there's also a push to look harder and deeper into the data that we have on officers, and how do we let that data help drive some of the decisions that we're making. So becoming more of a data-rich organization that uses that data to drive decision-making for the Officer Corps is one of the intermediate to longer-term goals that we'll focus on over the next year. Yeah, the marketplace is such a focal point for us here on Team OP, and then obviously for the Army. A couple of focal points, I think. For commanders and S1s, we call it phase one, but it's really when we're setting the market, like what is needed in your unit, what vacancies do you have in your unit, and who's staying in your unit. Clarifying that view for us here at HRC in phase one is just vitally important. It really allows that commander to shape who they're keeping and then what their priorities are for fill in this market. That's just the focal point and focus point that commanders need to have and that's really the most important time, phase one. Can you set the market, as clearly as possible for us here at HRC, and then set what those priorities are. And then coming out of that, then you execute the market, which also is pretty important for a command team or a unit. Have a strategy. Really have a set way that you want to recruit and interact with officers that are in the market. And those units that do that tend to do better. So I think that's on the unit side, on the commander side. On the officer side, it's really identify KSBs that you have that differentiate you from others, and then be active in the market. So preference deep, and then engage with units as actively as you can. The data on the KSBs helps us as an Army understand where talent is, but it also helps you interact with units. So I think that is a primary thing for officers. Yeah, thanks. Thanks for the opportunity to talk to our Army. I mean, for us, it's really important to have outreach and to have a customer service focus, and then really explain kind of how things are working and how we can interact with you, better. For us, that's really, really key. And through this forum, we'll highlight different areas that we're working on and really striving to expand our touch points with officers in the Army.